Workers. Okay, so let's talk about 5-paragraph essays. So y'all's prompt is, there's the longer thing. I'll read you the full thing. Just stay there. Okay. There are few facets of life that better reveal our relative lack of power than illness and disability. The facts of our bodies often exist beyond our control, and there is little we can do to change this. What we can control is our response to issues presented by illness and disability. In a well-organized 5-paragraph essay, identify one possible response to the problem presented by either illness or disability, and evaluate ways in which this response is either harmful or useful. Sorry, I wasn't reading very exactly, but you get the point. We want to find one response that we have noticed is kind of a traditional response through all of the readings that we've done this unit, and we want to evaluate through our essay whether that response is useful or harmful or both. And your specifications for this, you need to reference at least one of the following fictional texts. So you need to reference Station 11 or Reeling for the Empire. You can do both, but you have to do at least one. Then you have to do 2 of the following nonfiction texts. So you can do the one about Black Americans facing a disproportionate effect from coronavirus. You can do the one on disability studies. You can do the one on coronavirus in prisons, the one on disability and police violence against disabled folks. And you can do this one about the music review and the way that like art interacts with the idea of illness. Then you can also reference any of the following things. The Great American Plagues that we talked about, the Book of Exodus from the Bible, Plague Doctors, and the movie Contagion. Give me one sec. Let me get my cord. Sorry, guys. So today is really more of a brainstorming day, but what I want to do is help you guys with how outlining works for 5-paragraph essays, or at least how I do outlining. Because if you are doing a full 5-paragraph essay, and let's say you want to do a full 5-paragraph essay for like a test or something, like a state test or a standardized test, or if you ever take an AP class, you might have to do a 5-paragraph essay for that. And you wouldn't necessarily have time to do like a full rigorous outline that's like hook, tag, summary, whatever. You want to do something like real quick just to collect and organize your thoughts, right? So in your instructions box, it says, when writing an essay with multiple body paragraphs, my most basic outline always takes the structure of claim, support, 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 especially when the essay is timed. So I have all this up here. I'm just going to do it freehand down here. Let's do an example. So I'm going to do an example from the last unit, the war unit. So let's say I'm trying to figure out like what the traditional response that people have to war, and I'm supposed to evaluate ways in which that is either a helpful or a harmful response. So I want to do a claim, and that would kind of be like my outline for my introduction, right? Because claim goes into the introduction. And then I want to address what my topic sentences are going to be about, because that's going to give me the first sentence and like the structure of my 3 different body paragraphs, right? So topic, 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 and those are going to be my supports, right? So body paragraph, body paragraph, body paragraph. So let's say that I want my claim, if my question is, what is a response that humans traditionally have to war? Let's say that my claim is one common response to warfare is the tendency to address, tendency with an E, is the tendency to address the issue using scientific advancement. That's a pretty basic claim, but I would probably want to expand that a little bit more, but it'll work for our purposes. So the response is people want to address the issues of war using scientific advancement, whether that's through weaponry, whether that's through trying to find a cure to like some kind of bio war, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. Now I get to figure out how I want to organize everything. So you have a couple of options for that, right? One option that you have for how you could organize it is you could go text by text. So let's say I want one of these body paragraphs to be about girl with all the gifts. I want one of these body paragraphs to be about the poem building the atom bomb. And I want one of these to be about, let's see, the article on pacifism. So I could do it that way. I could say like, this text addresses this. I could say like, you know, girl with all the gifts shows the harmful tendency to, actually I'm going to go the other way with girl with all the gifts. Let's move this one to the bottom. Right, so let's say building the atom bomb. Building the atom bomb shows the harmful tendency to use inhumane methods of warfare when dealing with conflict. And then I could go deep into that poem, and my whole paragraph could be about that poem and the way in which that reveals a harmful tendency on the part of humans, right? And then the article on pacifism, I could say, give pacifism a chance reveals the ways in which humans fail to learn their lesson about science as a means of destruction and inhumanity during war times. And we see that throughout that article. You know, there's it kind of outlines the history of the anti-war movement and various like movements that have all protested different kinds of like bombs, different kinds of gas warfare, different kinds of scientific warfare that people have failed to realize is harmful, right? And then you can say that one response is unilaterally good or bad, is helpful or harmful, or useful or harmful, I guess. But a nuanced way to do it would be to say that like it's harmful in certain ways but helpful in other ways, right? So for example, Girl with All the Gifts shows that science can be useful to the practice of war. It's not really well written, but you know, we're outlining right now, to the practice of war when it tells a society more about itself instead of destroying that society. So in Girl with All the Gifts, Caroline Caldwell has all of her research, right? And she's doing it in a really bad way. So that would be one way to say, like, this is a harmful impulse. Her scientific impulse is harmful. But ultimately, at the end of the novel, right, Melanie winds up being able to use her research and actually winds up being incredibly useful. So we can see that, like, in certain ways, science during war times can wind up, like, telling us important things about ourselves. And that is, like, that winds up being incredibly useful, because otherwise Melanie could have never known what she was or what the other hungry children were. So you can do it that way. You can go work by work, right? You could also go theme by theme or topic by topic. So a way that we could do that would be, let's backspace all of these. You could say that you want one paragraph to be about how scientific advancement during war times often results in weaponry that degrades the humanity. Come on, where are we at? Okay. Okay, so often results in weaponry that both harms people in inhumane ways and degrades the humanity of people who use it. So this is about the topic of weaponry and the way it's degrading to humanity. So I could do a lot of different kinds of textual evidence with this, right? Like I could reference building the atomic bomb. I could reference Dulce et Decorum Est and the way that gas is used, and that's really dehumanizing to the soldiers in World War I. There's a lot that I could do here, and then I could also reference Girl with All the Gifts if I wanted to. I could say that Caroline Caldwell, doesn't regard the Hungries as, potential meaningful life forms. So there's a lot of ways you could go. So if one of my topics is about how science can be used for weaponry that is dehumanizing, I could also say that scientific advancement can also feed the idea that a society has accomplished something, giving one side a false sense of superiority. Let's see. One side a false sense of superiority when really they are harming themselves and others. So if one is about weaponry being inhumane, this one is more about the idea of the false sense of superiority that scientific achievement can give. And again, I can reference a lot of text in that. And then I could also do a paragraph that's more positive. At its best, science in war times can be used to bridge gaps between warring communities or can tell communities more about themselves. Worrying with 2 R's. So you have a lot of directions that you can go in, is what I'm trying to say. Feel free to be as creative as you want in structuring this essay. I really like paragraphs that go by theme, because then you can you could reference a poem and an article in the same paragraph, and that's really helpful. You can also do that if you organize by text. It's just like a little more rigid. But either way works fine. What I just want to see is that you have a claim, so you know what your claim is, and then you have roughly 3 topics. So like, what are your 3 supporting arguments going to be for that topic? I hope this makes sense. Turn this in, and I'm going to try to email you by tomorrow to see if you're on the right track. If I'm not sure about your claim, I will email you back and say, like, let's stop and rethink before you move forward with this. Because I really want y'all to succeed with these essays. And if your claim is kind of weak or your supports are kind of weak, then you're starting in a weak place. So try to wait until you have a response from me to start working on your introductions, which we're going to do tomorrow. But this is all you need to do today. Give me a basic outline, give me a claim, give me 3 supports that are organized in some kind of logical way. And you can start thinking through, okay, what text do I actually want to reference? There's a lot of directions you can go in. I'm excited to see which directions you go in. Yeah, talk to y'all later. Bye. Oh, email me if you have questions. Please email me. I love papers like this, so I'm really curious to see what y'all come up with.